my goodness, my new absolute favorite book that I'm going to recommend to everyone possible is... Hey friends, it's Evelyn. Welcome back to my channel. So it is winding down towards the end of the summer and I am starting to get ready to go back to college for my final semester of college, which is a little wild. But before we get back into all of the back to school content, I wanted to talk about all of the books that I've read this summer and all the ones I'm trying to finish up before the summer is over, and just share what I really liked. But speaking of back to school and books, before we get started, I'm very excited to have my very first ad in a video, you know, making it big time. Yes, so I am an affiliate with Chegg, which does mean, full disclosure, that if you use the links that I provide, I do get paid for it, just so you know. But I want to share about Chegg, which is a really useful resource, especially if you're going to college, going back to school, gonna need textbooks, all of those things. So here's some helpful information. While you and your friends are enjoying the end of summer, you should still find time to prepare for the new school year that's ahead of you. For example, each new year brings a new set of textbooks, and these can be a large added cost that you don't want sneaking up on you. If you qualify for financial aid, that can definitely assist with your textbooks, but if not, it's time to think of a creative way to save on the expense. One solution that many are finding extremely helpful for textbooks and beyond is Chegg. As the leading student-first connected learning platform, Chegg provides eBooks and physical textbook rentals, 24/7 study help, and other student services. Forget buying expensive textbooks you won't use again or spending tons of money on rentals. With Chegg's textbook solutions, you can choose from a vast library of textbooks that are available for rent or buy. If you're not sure which option works best for you, don't worry. You can always extend your rental and purchase it at a later time if you need to. It's all about affordability and flexibility. And just some other features to help give you peace of mind. Take the stress out of changing books and courses with 21-day refunds on returns. Get started ASAP with a free ebook you can read while you wait for your textbook. And need to keep track of information on a rental? Chegg allows you to highlight what you need. No more stressing out about how to afford your books this school year. Instead, head over to Chegg and save up to 90% on textbooks today so you can enjoy the rest of your summer without worry. So I have all the links that you'll need down below in the description if you want to check out Chegg and all the useful resources they have for having a really successful school year. Now let's get into the video. So I have a list on my laptop, which is why I might be looking down a lot just to try to remember all of the books that I've read. I keep a to-read list and then check them off on Google Keep. So a lot of these books were books recommended in Haley Pham's videos. If you don't watch her book channel, she gives really awesome recommendations for books, so a lot of the ones I read are from her. Also don't know, I have some books that I've published that you can see here and buy them on Amazon. I would greatly appreciate it if you would check them out. It would really support me, you know, help me afford life. So to be honest, I cannot remember if I read this first one over winter break or the beginning of the summer because this has been such a long summer and I've read so many books. But Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter was just so good, so fun, such just an awesome light romance high school YA read. Absolutely loved it, so would recommend that. And if you really like movies and just references to movies and books, that's always fun. And then I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which was just such a fun book. I'm probably gonna say that a lot, but I really love watching murder mystery shows with my family and stuff, so really into reading about murder mysteries. And it was cool because this one is a teenage girl who figures everything out on her own, and her personality just really reminded me of myself and how driven and determined she was to figure out what was going on. So that was a really good book, and I also made my mom read it because I thought it was so good. So if you're interested in murder mystery type stories, would definitely recommend. And it's not too scary or disturbing. There are some parts that are disturbing, but it's not gonna give you nightmares at night. And then something that I also read that was similar to that it was One of Us is Lying, which was again such a fun book, and I really liked all the different perspectives. And I actually just watched The Breakfast Club for the first time before I read it, and it kind of is a similar vibe where they're all stuck in detention together and then stuff goes down. So if you just want to read about teenagers figuring out why someone died, and like all of the weird like connections between all of them and how they all become friends, all of that stuff. It's just a really fun book. And then of course I did read all of the Summer I Turned Pretty books because I really wanted to watch the new Amazon show, which, oh my gosh, was so good. And I can't believe I have to wait all the way until next summer to see season 2. But I read all 3 of those books and they were just like fun beach vibe books. I love reading books that are set like at a beach house or at a place where people go back to every summer, and there's that whole like summer community and just like a different life in the summer. So they're really fun books to escape to, and there's just some good themes talking about grief and, you know, being confused as you're growing up, figuring out like who you have a crush on, all that stuff. Is just, they were really fun. And then this summer I did also read all of Emily Henry's books, so Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, and Book Lovers. And I think probably The People We Meet on Vacation and Book Lovers were my favorite. I honestly, like, I enjoyed these books, but they weren't my favorite books in the whole world. And I feel like they kind of all had like the same exact plot structure, but I guess, you know, she's just kind of figured out like the story arc that like she likes and where she wants to go with the characters. And I do think that they all have some like good messages about life and how to live your life. Book Lovers just like really, you know, talks about it being okay, like putting yourself first in what you want to do, and just like understanding, like, just, you know, when you're confused about like your path for life and like choosing what you want to do and not settling, and like waiting for the right thing and all that. It's just, they all have like good like life messages in them, and they were fun to read, but not like my all-time favorite books, but they are really good. Then I read The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen, which is probably one of the only books by her that I've read. I know she has so many like YA romance books, like she's like the queen of YA romance writing. Which is weird because I love those books, but I just haven't read a lot of her stories. And I really like this one because, again, it was like set at a lake, and there was this whole just like summer community, like things that you do in the summer, all your friends that you see in the summertime. And I really liked that vibe, and it was like she was coming into that for the first time and like getting to see how all these people interact and new friends, and there was lots of this like family issues that she was overcoming. So it is like a fun read for the summertime, but there are also some like deeper issues that are cool to get into and, you know, make you think about life and how lucky you are and be fortunate for all the things that you have. My gosh. And then one of the best books I read all summer was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Oh my gosh, like the hype for that one is so spot on, so true, so necessary. Like, Taylor Jenkins Reid is a genius. I loved that book, and I'm actually reading Malibu Rising right now, which is one of her other books. And I'm gonna read Daisy Jones and the Six at some point as well, because she kind of created this whole like world with lots of different like fictional Hollywood characters, like stars. And one of the dad of the characters in this book is in The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Briefly, he's one of her husbands, and it's just cool that they are all connected. And like, if you read that book, you can see like the connections and like, oh, I know like that celebrity she's talking about because you met them in the other book. And I just absolutely love her writing style. These books are just so good, so would very much recommend. And then I also did read We Were Liars, because I know just like everyone has been talking about this book. I think I'm a little like behind, you know, I feel like this was really popular like last year. To be honest, was not my favorite book. I liked it. Again, I liked it being like set at a place that people only go in the summertime, like having their summer beach house, all of their summer memories. But I don't know, like, I just didn't super love the writing style, and it kind of, I didn't like the main character. So that's just my opinion. And then I found this one at like one of my public library, like they just sell books for like 25 cents every once in a while, or like they have like a big used bookstore in the back of the library. And I got this one, Now a Major Motion Picture, and I wanted to read it just because I love movies. I love everything about movies. Should have probably gone to school to be a screenwriter or something, but you know, whatever. But it's about like this girl and her brother, and their grandmother had written this really famous fantasy series, and it's being made into a movie, and she gets to go like watch as they are producing the movie, and she gets to meet the actors, and there's like a love story, and it was just a fun read, but also deals with some like family issues and like getting along with your parents and figuring out who you are. I did enjoy this one a lot, and it was just really cool to see like behind the scenes of making a movie. And then I also read On Writing by Stephen King, which is kind of like his autobiography and also how he became a writer and just some tips for being a writer. And I just love reading like stories about people growing up and what inspired them to be a writer and like their process of writing. So if you are a writer, I would highly recommend reading On Writing. I think I read it in like 2 days. Like I just sat down and cranked it out and I really enjoyed it. Like it didn't feel like you were reading like a textbook or anything. Like it felt like you were reading a story, and I love that. And then I read 99 Days, which is a like summer romance novel. And to be honest, it was not my favorite book. I did also like I read it in like one sitting. I just didn't really like the character because it just had like the cheating trope in it, and that's just, I've determined that I don't really like that because I just, every time the character would be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I was like, yeah, you could have just stopped yourself. I don't know. It wasn't really my favorite, but it was interesting because she like worked at a hotel and like helped manage this new kind of like hotel resort that was running as she was home for the summer waiting to go to college. And I kind of like that aspect because I love kind of reading about people in like unique jobs and things like that. So that part I did enjoy. And then, oh my goodness, my new absolute favorite book that I'm going to recommend to everyone possible is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. Oh my gosh, so good. And it's so fun because the family plays like a huge game of assassin. So like throughout the whole book, as there's like the love story developing and her cousin's getting married and she's dealing with grief, all of these things, they're also like shooting each other with water guns and like sneaking around trying to take each other out with water guns. And oh, it's just so good. And it's like based on Taylor Swift songs, and enough said, like you have to read it. It was so good. And then I did read The Silent Patient again because that was like really recommended. That one is a like creepy psychological thriller. I did enjoy it. It does have a really big plot twist. So if you're interested in like crime, murder, mystery, kind of creepy thriller books, I would recommend it. I thought it was really interesting and the plot twist kind of blew my mind a little bit. So and then I've read Dial A for Aunties, which is so funny. If you've ever seen the movie Weekend at Bernie's, it's like kind of similar, where like they have a dead body that they're trying to make it look like it's still alive. And it's just like really funny because she's just with her aunts and they're like trying to cover up a guy that's dead and like run a wedding, and like it's just really entertaining. I was like laughing out loud when I read it. And I actually got the second book from the library called For Aunties in a Wedding, and it's like a follow-up, and there's like kind of a similar them working together to like solve like a kind of mystery that's happening, and I'm very excited to read this soon. But if you are just looking for a fun book to read that's like not like a murder mystery, but like, you know, them trying to cover up a crime that's happened and there's romance, and I just really enjoyed it, and I did read it in one sitting. So, and then I just finished reading Anna and the French Kiss, which is a like YA romance where she's at a boarding school in Paris, and I just absolutely like fell in love with just the idea of like being in a boarding school in Paris, and I loved like imagining her in her dorm, and I can still like picture, like, you know, when you read a book and you really like picture the character's room or their spaces, and like I was sad when the book ended because I felt like I was leaving her dorm. And it's just a cute romance. I did kind of, the main character wasn't like my favorite, like I kind of got frustrated with her a little bit, but I think that's kind of the point because she's like a teenager trying to figure out her life. So if you love reading books about like traveling to Europe and stuff, would recommend. I think that was all the ones I've read so far. I did also listen to one of Kathy Reich's like murder mystery books. That's what the Bones TV show is based on, as an audiobook while I was doing work yesterday, because I just have some of them and I like to read those in the fall when I'm at school because they just, you know, like murder mystery fall vibes. I don't know. If I can think of any more that I've read between when I'm editing this video, I'll put them on the screen. But now I'm going to show the books that I'm going to be reading next. So after I finished Malibu Rising, I got Mary Jane, which was recommended by Haley Pham. I think it's like set in the 70s, and she's like a nanny for a rich family, and like I'm just very interested to read this. And then I got The Devil Wears Prada because I've never read this book, but it's one of my favorite movies, so I figured I should read the book. And then I have For Aunties in a Wedding, so I'm going to read. And then I got They Both Die in the End because everyone has talked about this book for years and I have not read it yet. And I really want to read it, so I got that. And then if I have time, some of the other books I want to read. Oh, actually, I got like requested from the library One True Loves and Such a Fun Age. And then I want to read Daisy and the Six, or Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And then I requested Every Summer After, which is like all the hype right now, but I don't think it's gonna come from the library by the time I have to go back to school. And yeah, and then I have a bunch of other books that I want to read on my list that I will hopefully get to when I graduate after the school year's over. But I hope that was fun just to talk about books, gave you some ideas to read. And don't forget to check out Chegg and the affiliate links that I have in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.